it's cool. You know, it doesn't make me feel any way special. It doesn't make me feel like a bigger person. It just makes me feel like I know how to throw a party.
Today, the prosecution's star witness, Cassie Ventura, took the stand. She's a music star and the ex-girlfriend of Mr. Combs.
Cassie Ventura could be preparing for a career comeback following the bombshell civil lawsuit she filed against her ex, Sean Diddy Combs.
What happens when intimate moments become tools for control? According to Cassie Ventura's shocking testimony, Diddy allegedly turned private encounters into blackmail material, creating a prison of fear she couldn't escape from. In the federal courtroom in New York, Cassie revealed the devastating reality behind the glamorous facade of her relationship with the music mogul. The jury watched intently as she described how recorded freak-offs became leverage that kept her trapped in a cycle of abuse and exploitation for years. The New York courtroom fell into stunned silence when Cassie Ventura took the stand. Her testimony hit like a thunderbolt, exposing the dark reality behind her relationship with one of music's most powerful figures. For years, the public saw glamorous red carpet appearances and music video collaborations. Now they heard about secret recordings, fear, and control. Cassie explained how things started innocently enough. Private moments between a couple, intimate, personal, and meant to stay that way. But, according to her testimony, these moments didn't remain private. She claimed Diddy secretly recorded their encounters without her knowledge or permission. The jury leaned forward in their seats as she described discovering cameras hidden in their bedroom. "I never consented to being filmed," Cassie testified, her voice steady despite the heavy subject matter. What made her testimony particularly disturbing wasn't just the alleged secret recordings, it was how those recordings reportedly transformed into weapons of control. Prosecutors displayed text messages and emails on the courtroom screens that seemed to reference these recordings. In one message, allegedly from Diddy, he reminded Cassie that he owned certain content that would ruin her if released. The implication was clear: step out of line and these private recordings would become public. The most shocking part of her testimony centered around what she called freak-offs. Cassie described how Diddy allegedly organized elaborate parties involving male escorts. According to her account, these weren't optional social gatherings, but mandatory events he demanded she participate in. The courtroom atmosphere grew tense as she detailed how these encounters were specifically designed for recording. He would set up cameras around the room, Cassie testified, sometimes hidden, sometimes in plain sight. "I knew they were there, but I couldn't object." Her words painted a picture of manipulation that extended beyond simple secret recordings. The prosecution presented hotel receipts, payment records to third parties, and schedule notes from Diddy's assistants that seemed to corroborate the timeline of these alleged events. One former security team member testified earlier that he was instructed to ensure no phones or recording devices were allowed in certain rooms, except for equipment Diddy personally approved. Cassie described the aftermath of these recordings in chilling detail. She testified that Diddy would review the footage afterward, sometimes with her present, other times alone. Then came the threats. According to her testimony, he made it clear these recordings were insurance against her ever speaking out about their relationship or attempting to leave. "He told me if I ever tried to leave him, these videos would be everywhere," she testified. "My family would see them. My career would be over." The prosecution displayed phone records showing dozens of calls between Cassie and crisis management firms during periods when she attempted to distance herself from Diddy. The most powerful moment came when Cassie explained why she remained silent for so long. "I couldn't say no," she stated, those 4 words hanging in the courtroom air. "Every time I tried to pull away, he would remind me of what he had, what he could release, how my life would never recover." Her voice cracked just once during the hours of testimony when describing how the threat followed her everywhere. "Even when we weren't together, I knew those recordings existed. I knew what would happen if I spoke out." Prosecutors showed evidence suggesting Diddy referenced these recordings in casual conversations, quick reminders of the leverage he held. One text simply read, "Remember the tapes," sent after Cassie had canceled a public appearance with him. The jury appeared visibly affected as Cassie described feeling trapped in an invisible prison created by these recordings. Several jurors took extensive notes during this portion of testimony, while others simply stared at Diddy, who maintained a neutral expression throughout. Legal experts watching the case note that these allegations represent more than just invasion of privacy. If proven, they demonstrate a pattern of psychological manipulation and coercion, key elements in the prosecution's case against the music mogul. As Cassie finished describing the blackmail tactics, the courtroom remained unnaturally quiet. The image of a famous music mogul allegedly using intimate recordings to trap a young woman in his orbit seemed to affect everyone present. Even court reporters paused momentarily before continuing their transcription. The defense team will have their opportunity to cross-examine Cassie and challenge her account. They've already signaled they'll present a very different narrative about the relationship. But for now, her words, "I couldn't say no," have fundamentally altered how many view this high-profile case, transforming it from celebrity drama into serious allegations of psychological manipulation and coercion. The blackmail videos were just the beginning of Cassie's nightmare. On the stand, she revealed a web of control that went far beyond those secret recordings. The picture she painted wasn't of a normal relationship that occasionally turned dark. It was a system designed to break her down completely. Cassie testified that these so-called freak-offs weren't rare events that happened once in a while. They became almost like a second job, something she was expected to perform nearly every week. The jury shifted uncomfortably in their seats as she described marathon sessions that didn't last hours, but days. Some went on for 36 hours straight. Others stretched across 4 full days with minimal breaks. "I had no life outside of them," Cassie told the court. "When they were finally over, I was so exhausted I could barely function. By the time I recovered, it would start all over again." To keep her awake and compliant during these marathon sessions, Cassie claimed Diddy provided her with drugs. She testified she took them for dissociating and to create some kind of buffer from what she was experiencing. The prosecution showed text messages where Diddy allegedly arranged for specific substances to be delivered before these planned events. The control extended into every corner of her existence. Cassie explained how her music career withered under Diddy's thumb. Despite signing a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Records, only 1 album ever saw the light of day. She testified that she recorded hundreds of songs that Diddy refused to release, effectively holding her career hostage while simultaneously keeping her dependent on him financially. "He decided everything," Cassie told the court. "What I wore, who I talked to, when I could leave the house." She described constant criticism about her appearance. Her nails weren't right, her hair needed changing, her clothes were wrong. Even her body wasn't exempt, with Diddy allegedly pressuring her about breast implants and other physical improvements he wanted. The prosecution displayed emails and texts from stylists and makeup artists that showed Diddy's team micromanaging Cassie's appearance for years, down to approving specific nail polish colors and hairstyles. Former employees testified that Cassie needed permission for basic decisions about her own image and career. Perhaps the most shocking evidence came when prosecutors played the now infamous 2016 hotel hallway video. The courtroom went silent as security footage showed Diddy physically assaulting Cassie, grabbing her, throwing her to the ground, and kicking her while she lay defenseless. This visual evidence transformed abstract claims into something concrete and undeniable. Cassie's voice trembled slightly as she explained how the combination of violence, controlled substances, and blackmail created a perfect prison. "When he had those videos hanging over my head, and he could hurt me physically, and he controlled my money and career, where could I go? What could I do?" she testified. Former security personnel confirmed parts of her account, describing how Diddy's team was instructed to monitor Cassie's movements and report back about who she spoke with. One former assistant testified about being asked to retrieve Cassie multiple times when she tried to leave after arguments. Prosecutor Emily A. Johnson framed these events not as isolated incidents, but as part of a criminal enterprise. She told the jury that Diddy used lies, drugs, threats, and violence to force and coerce Cassie into these situations against her will. The prosecution's theory is that Diddy didn't just cross lines in a bad relationship. He ran a systematic operation designed to exploit and control women for his own gratification. "I felt trapped in a cycle I couldn't escape," Cassie said toward the end of her testimony. "The videos meant I couldn't say no. The physical abuse meant I couldn't fight back. The drugs meant I couldn't think clearly, and the control of my career meant I couldn't support myself if I left. The defense team, led by attorney Tenny Garagos, has acknowledged that Diddy had a bad temper and jealousy problems, but insists his conduct wasn't criminal. They've tried to frame the relationship as consensual but turbulent, pointing to text messages where Cassie appeared affectionate toward Diddy even after alleged incidents. But Cassie's testimony directly challenged this narrative. She explained that appeasing Diddy was a survival mechanism, not evidence of a healthy relationship. "I learned to say what he wanted to hear," she testified, because saying no or fighting back only made things worse. As Cassie stepped down from the witness stand, the courtroom remained silent, the weight of her testimony hanging in the air. While the defense will have their chance to cross-examine her and present their version of events, her account of systematic control through fear and manipulation had clearly affected everyone in the room, including several jurors who couldn't maintain eye contact with Diddy as they filed out for the day's recess. What began as celebrity gossip has transformed into one of the most serious criminal cases in entertainment history. Cassie's testimony painted Diddy not as a flawed boyfriend, but as someone who allegedly used recordings as weapons to trap her in a cycle of exploitation. The music mogul who built an empire worth billions now faces potential life imprisonment if convicted. Everything hinges on whether jurors believe Cassie was genuinely trapped by these blackmail tactics, or if they accept the defense's claim that everything was consensual between adults. Cassie's words, "I couldn't say no," continue to echo through the courtroom as the trial moves forward. The verdict will send shockwaves through the entertainment industry,